because some of the worst wildfires in nearly 20 years have been raging across California since August. Thousands of people have been driven from their homes, but politicians have argued over the long-term causes. State Democrats have blamed climate change. Donald Trump has blamed forest management, saying places like Finland and Austria do not have similar problems. A new scientific report has said climate change is playing an unequivocal and pervasive role in making fires more likely, and that land management alone cannot explain the recent infernos. Dr. Patrick Brown is an associate professor of meteorology and climate science at San Jose University, State University. Why do you believe, Dr. Brown, climate change has played such a large part in these fires?
Well, it's no surprise to anyone that fires are more likely to occur when it's warmer, when it's drier. If you have dry fuel without moisture in it, then you can start a fire a lot easier. And the long-term trends due to human-caused climate change in California are warming and drying. And so we have longer fire seasons, and we have fuel that's dried out and more ready to burn when fires do occur.
And how serious are the fires compared to years ago?
Well, we have seen a very startling trend in terms of area burns since the 1960s about. Now, if you extend back further in time, it's interesting because we see that California actually used to experience a lot more fires, back in the 1800s. And so we've kind of seen a U-shaped curve in terms of long-term fire activity, where the United States government implemented a policy where they said we're going to suppress fires, and so that worked for a while. So fires went down for decades, starting in about 1900. There was a minimum in about the 50s or 60s, and now over the past several decades, they've been going up and up and up. And so what we think is going on is basically the suppression tactics worked for a while, but now with climate change coming in on top of this suppression, where now we've built up a bunch of fuels, we have kind of an uncontrollable situation now where fuels have been building up for a long period of time, and now they're drier, and so then when fires do start, they're just way more intense and harder to control.
Donald Trump, President Trump, says it's down to bad forest management, Patrick.
Well, you can't necessarily use the shortcut that if Donald Trump says it, it's wrong. So in this case, he does have a point. If you talk to fire ecologists, if you talk to people that know about the Native American practices in the region, they did used to manage fires a lot better. They managed the forests a lot better. So they would use controlled burns or just in the natural state. These are fire-adapted ecosystems. Fire is natural. And so there would be a situation where the fire would go through, it would clear out a lot of the underbrush, a lot of that fuel that is on the surface. And now, because we've suppressed fires for so long, when a fire does occur, there's so much more to burn that the fire then reaches up into the canopy, into the crown of the forest, and it can kill the whole forest, where previously the fires would not get that intense. So the solution is fire management as well as addressing climate change. You don't have to choose one or the other.
The report says there have been fewer controlled burnings in recent years. That's where some fires are deliberately set, isn't it, to prevent more serious fires later on? Should that happen more often?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're finally waking up to that now, that we are starting to implement policies with more prescribed fire burning in California. And so there's been recent deals set to have that come into play a lot more.
Okay. Listen, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, sir.